really, really, really thank you. Because it's also
Thank you.
as
Yeah.
a worker at Freedom, when I have this kind of conversation, when I get a chance to travel, then I get back to my job with a different mood, with a very
Mm.
positive mood, and I'm happy of doing what I do. Really,
I think you should, because from my perspective, this was unbelievable. Like what you are doing, to see like all these people and seeing how happy and how they were appreciating what it was given from freedom. It was like amazing. I'm working for a company that for each um, worker, we get like one plant from freedom every time like somebody starts. um so then it was, my colleague was like, oh, my tree from freedom was a coffee plant in Ecuador, and I was like, mine too, and I'm going to Ecuador, right? So
there's a lot of people asking us about their own trees, but I totally got it. I mean, I would do the same. I would like to see my own tree, but then in the end, what we can do is just take one photo for each single tree. We're talking
yeah.
3.5 million trees collected.
No, it doesn't make sense. I mean, and all in all, it is the project itself. And I think these kind of projects are really important, but sometimes because they happen so far from where you are, like it is difficult to get an understanding on what is going on. And to me, to be honest, like it's not about I have a known tree somewhere. No, because I know what is behind this project, right? It's not owning a tree, it's what you provide, like to different, first of all, like agroforestry, right? But also what are you helping all, like the different communities that are involved in these projects.
Yeah.
And wow, I was
My Irene, but you know about freedom even better than some of the people working here. I got to be honest. No, because sometimes it's easy for us to give for granted that people knows what an agroforestry system is. Well, it's not that easy to get. I mean, yeah, once you have an idea, you
Mhm,
can get it. It's not that hard to understand. No, planting a tree where you typically cultivate other kind of plant,
mhm.
but the sound of agroforestry make it a little bit complex in your mind if you don't know what it is. But then, yes, it's kind of simple on one side because it's just a matter of planting trees together with other kind of plants. On
Mhm,
the other side, it requires to work in a precise way. In our case, it was a coffee tree, right?
mhm.
So,
Exactly.
so we're talking about like a so-called cash crop. We used to call it now because the
Yeah.
best now you can get from a coffee tree is some income for you and your family. No, once you do, and this is what you've been finding there. I mean, people who were actually uh, participating in a project, having some income or utility coming from the project itself. Huh?
Hmm.
You get the chance to see it.
Exactly. So to me, first of all, like I wasn't without expectations. So I was like, I'm gonna go there and I will flow in the way, like whatever they tell me to do, I will do. And I'm kind of an easy guest in the sense like I really like nature. I have my own, like I grow my vegetables and stuff there in Sweden. So I'm already very like I have green fingers in a way. So I'm really interested in getting to know. But then it was so the way it went. Sorry, I go back. So I contact Freedom. Then one of your colleagues answered me. I think she was called Elena, but now I forgot. I'm very bad at names. Uh, then yeah, it was when I was in Ecuador that then Tomaso contacted me, and then he said, okay, like the person who is in charge of this project in Ecuador, that he's from Ecuador, will contact you, and then you can arrange like when can you and so on. So then I contact him. Well, I get in contact with him, and he was like, okay, Irene, let's do something. Would you like either to just sleep in a hotel and then I pick you up and we go to the community, or let's just ask to the community if they want to host you with them, so you actually also have the experience to live with them. And I was like, i'm not gonna I'm not gonna push to anything, but if the community actually don't mind to that I stay with them, then I'm more than happy to see that, because to me that's more, I really like this kind of experiences, right? And so yeah, then they accepted and I spent 24 hours with them. I decided I spent 1 month in Ecuador, and I'm a person that I think it's good to get to know. I don't want to see all the tourist things. I want to understand how is the people, and actually this experience gave me the chance to get to know more about Ecuador, in the real Ecuador that I wanted to know. So it was actually, it was not anymore a tree, or it was more about what is happening in there, and not even about the coffee plantation. All of a sudden, when I was there, I got to know this community. They told me actually how Freedom was helping them, because they also got like some beehives, so they learn how to um, collect the honey from there. They also got like some chicks, and so they had new machines that helped them actually to kind of like help like with all the different like leaves and stuff that they had in these agroforestry lands. So I was like, wow. And not only that, like the way they were that satisfied, that was unbelievable. Like to see that one project is actually giving so much to a group of people. So yeah, it was really inspiring, and I was like super, after that I was like on a cloud, like wow, such an experience.
But it was, I mean, obviously you get the chance to speak the same language, so that
Mm.
point of view, it was easier for you to communicate, to get in relation with these people. But apart from the language, which is obviously a good tool to enter in a close confidence,
Mm.
uh, what was the most surprising thing that happened during your 24 hours spent with this community?
But what I really liked is was like the, also like the community, the people there. Like it was actually the people which I was super surprised that they were extremely happy to that we were there, and that we were curious in both ways. At the beginning, of course, there was a bit of shy, like they were shy because yeah, all of a sudden some random people are coming here, and what is happening. um they welcomed us, and at the beginning it was like, wow, this, for them it's really important that actually we have gone there. But then all of a sudden, like we kind of make like some dynamics. Okay, let's introduce ourselves, let's say what do we like to do, so all of us, so we were kind of like getting to know each other, and then the jokes start, and then you see we come from different places, we come from different backgrounds, but all in all like we really like kind of connect and feel like actually like bond really strongly for this short period of time.
Yeah,
So mm,
bello, bello. I have to say that traveling for freedom, as I was traveling in my previous life for the wine business, so traveling.
mm,
I, the red line connecting these two different activities has always been the agriculture, no?
mm,
And so I'm also coming from a family of, I don't want to say entrepreneurs, but I mean, from little villages in the very center of Italy. And I have also my little uh, agricultural business with my family. But I have to say that agriculture, more than, and living in the countryside, in communities that can be some, for many aspects, some kind of isolated, but with very intense bond connecting people. It's something that it's almost the same all around the world, from Kenya to Portugal. Doesn't matter if you're from
mm.
Asia or Italy.
Yeah, I actually agree. Like the connection that the human being has with nature, it is amazing. but also like between them, like because of probably that they need to rely on other things that they cannot really control, and it's really dependent on how they uh, their life will be, right? So it is kind of nice to see this community. And what I was surprised, like I was presenting like to my whole company as well, like my experience to them, um and I showed them a picture in which it was like this agroforestry like picture where there are like orange trees, avocado trees, then the coffee shrubs or like trees as well. And but this is not only agroforestry. This place was also like the path for them to go from one house to the other. So this whole picture, if somebody guides you, it actually has a big meaning, right? Besides just seeing like some plants and that's it. So um it was really nice.
Yeah, no, you really got it, because it's and this is something that sometimes it's not easy to communicate to, even to people who knows freedom, who's,
mm,
but they sometimes care, and I do understand a lot about their very own tree. What we always try to make them try to understand is that a tree is important. Every single tree is important. That's why we take a photograph of each of them. We try
mm,
to have all of the GPS data, but a tree makes much more sense once is part of a bigger project that can really give a different chance to a whole community of people. Uh, if I do consider that, for example, in some of our project in Kenya,
mm-hmm,
we plant fruit trees, and those fruits are used primarily. I mean, the priority for this tree is to pay the school fee for the little
mm,
children of the community. So on one side, you're just planting a tree, but if you think on the other side, you're giving the chance to a child that maybe would never had otherwise that chance,
mm-hmm,
have a better life by studying, by going to school, and this makes a difference that is much bigger than
mm.
a single tree. There you can really change. Obviously, you don't know. Maybe that guy doesn't even want to go to school.
Yeah,
You
but
will
you're
think
giving a chance that it
exactly.
wasn't there. And I've seen that actually in the website, because after that I was like, okay, this Christmas I want to give some trees. Um, like I was thinking coffee trees because I met these people. I now I feel kind of yeah, I want to keep helping, like in this sense. And I saw that when you have the chance to buy a tree, then it there are like you you see like how socially, what is the social impact and environmental impact. And I think this is really important, but I think it should be good also to put it actually with each project outside, not only when you are buying, but also like when you have a tree, to show this is still there, right? Like because sometimes this information can be forgotten, and it's like, okay, um like something more, like, because as you said, this project is not all about agroforestry. There is also like the whole social impact that produces into this place.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. This is something we got to highlight more and more and more on the
Hmm.
website. Now we have many videos also coming from Ecuador. Tommaso and Paula, they were in Ecuador, and they come
Mm.
back with a lot of funny, also funny videos. Because I got to say, to be honest, also there is also the funny side of these communities, that then they do celebrate. They really like to celebrate. When they party, they party. I got to say, I mean, really, and seeing the enthusiasm that can come from a simple action, like providing these people, sometimes they what they need is just to have a little chance, really, really.
Exactly. But and also like how do you want to quantify this? It's not only the economical side, it's like all the other side that we're providing to them, which is less quantif like you can less quantify, right? Like all the value that you're adding to this yeah, community.
But the
Yeah.
general mood of the community was super positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were very enthusiastic to show me as much as they could in 24 hours. So that was really cool. So then I mean we did like some activities. Richard, who is like the engineer that is he actually made a planning, and so he was also very like happy to show um us yeah, the place. And then so we did some activities regarding coffee, so see the plants, go to the plant nursery, and then also like we Ulises, Don Ulises, who was the guy that was hosting us, he showed us how to grind the coffee, but manually, like the coffee beans when they're still in the shell. So it was like, yeah, with a big mortar and a pestle, like like this, like you see in, I don't know, uh it was. And then also like the technique that he was using to separate the the bean from the shell, that was also very interesting to see. Yeah. Which basically was like all the combination of the shell and the beans that were together. He was putting it in a bowl, and then with just aluminum lid was just venting it, and then the shells, because they were lighter, they were flying away, and all the beans were just falling in the pot. So all these things that actually I think they more and more have been lost, this knowledge that it was really interesting to see it, right? Like it was like, wow, super nice. And then they showed us how to roast the coffee or toast the coffee, and then to grind it in the mill, like manual mill. So all this was also extremely nice to see, because again, like when you consume coffee, even like sometimes it's just pressing the button of the machine, but of course, like if you do it at home, you have it already grind in a pot, you put it in the macchinetta, and then you do the montagnola. You call it like that in Italian? Yeah.
Perfetto, perfetto.
And yeah.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So you get a chance to see, how coffee, that for us is just a matter of filling up. If you have a mocha, you're something like
Yeah.
very artisanal, because otherwise you got the little, how do you call it? The little
Yeah, the capsule.
capsule.
Yeah,
Then it's even, you don't even know what's inside. Now it's just a capsule. You push the button and that's it.
exactly.
But if you want to be artisanal, you have a mocha, you have the pot, and that's it. You don't see any,
Yeah.
you do not have any idea. Maybe if you go in a coffee, not a coffee shop, but those shops where you can find,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you can have an idea, but you will never get a chance to see the real plant, how
Mm.
whole process. And how was the coffee you tasted there? Was good? Was strong?
It was really good. The thing is, like they they actually roast with sugar. That was something I didn't like. It was common in that community to roast the coffee with sugar, so it
Ah,
was super black, and then it tastes a lot like well, no, I like coffee without sugar, so then it was a contrast to have it that sweet.
I got it. I got it.
But I mean, taste wise, anyway, the smell when they were like just brewing the coffee, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. Like,
And by the enthusiasm you told me about, but they wanted to show you how good they were in doing what they were doing. For example, planting, showing you the trees, the fruits, that stuff. I mean, they were
mhm.
proud on one side.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You could tell. I mean, that they were very happy to show their life and what they do, and then I mean, of course, it was all orchestrated by also the engineer, right? Like Richard was very like, okay, we should do this, but they were like, yes, we should go. And then they even showed us how to milk a cow, which it was also for them funny, because of course bringing somebody from a city, right, to the countryside, then all of a sudden you realize how stupid or like how bad you are doing like essential things, let's call them, right? So there were a lot of fun moments. I was always telling them, oh, you are doing magic, for example, because we couldn't milk a cow, but they were like, yeah, it's doing like this. No, 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 you're doing magic. And every time something we couldn't do it, then they were saying, we are doing magic, right? And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so there was a lot of
Che
uh,
bello.
nice feeling, but yeah, they were extremely happy to show us, or they even were coming up with their own, like, oh, but with this meal, why don't we show them to do some cheese, or why don't we, so they were also super enthusiastic to
Fantastic.
do this.
And you get
Mm.
the chance to eat with them, and you get
Hmm.
to eat a lot, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. At one point I was yeah, because I'm not used to eat this huge amount. So before one of the meals, I don't want to offend you, but I'm not eating that much, so I don't want to get anything to be thrown. So please, I will eat less. Um, so and they understood that, so that was also nice. But yeah, food. I mean, it was super good as well. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
huge
no.
quantities. Mm.
Yeah, see. Yeah. By this point of view, I can really believe that they were overfeeding you. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but it's part of the celebration. Also, this
Mm,
side, eating all together, like a moment of celebration and eating and
mm,
drinking. This is another part of the story that really connect people, and that's something we got to work on to let also the communities being
mhm,
able to show themselves to the people that have been planting trees in their project, because they really like some. Obviously at the very beginning there can be some, acting like shy,
yeah,
but it's something that's easily overcome by with smiles.
exactly. I think, and it's totally understandable. Like they actually spend all the time together, like external, uh, like people is not coming there that often. So I would feel like that if, yeah, all of a
Yeah.
sudden foreigners are coming to
Sì.
see. Yeah, exactly.
Bene,
Mm.
Irene, I would like to say this in Spanish, but I'm not that good. But yo no sabe cómo dirte gracias.
Ah, wow. No, lo has, lo has dicho perfecto.
Really, thank you. Because it's also
Thank you.
as
Yeah.
a worker at Freedom, when I have this kind of conversation, when I get a chance to travel, then I get back to my job with a different mood, with a very
Mm.
positive mood, and I'm happy of doing what I do. Really.
I think you should, because from my perspective, this was unbelievable. Like what you are doing, to see like all these people and seeing how happy and how they were appreciating what it was given from freedom. It was like amazing.